Hi everyone, welcome to our second future call. This is a new DCN series. Every time we deal with a very trending and very contemporary, I would say, topic, we invite one expert and we talk for 1 hour regarding this topic. This is the second one under the title Understanding the Customer Journey. What makes people stay, leave, or trust a product? Talking with all of you, we know that a lot of you, you want to launch your own digital products. So the customer journey is more than important. Today, we are more than happy and honored to have with us Anandhan Kannan. I hope that I did not ruin your name. Anandhan he's a digital transformation leader. He works in banking and financial services. He has more than 18 years of experience. So his input and his insights are more than valuable. I don't want to take more time from the presentation and from the webinar. I will pass the floor to Anandhan in order to take it from there and let us know what we need to do in order to start a very successful digital or not digital product. Anandhan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Marina. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for DCN Global for inviting me to this session. We often think customer journey is typically screen steps and process and workflows. Customer doesn't actually involved in the processes. It is actually a experience. This is what I'm planning to present in this session. So end of this session, you will be able to understand how the customer journey is being handled in the banking industry and what list of things are more important when we talked about design about client onboarding in our digital platform. That is the purpose of this call. Let me give you a small introduction about myself. I'm just give me a minute. As you know, my name is Anandhan Kannan. I'm a product and digital transformation leader in banking and financial industry. I have 18 years of experience in this banking industry, where I've covered mainly client onboarding, client due diligence, AML, and architecture of entire enterprise data model, as well as the workflow engine. And I've also worked closely with multiple regions. I've originally started my career in India and then moved to Singapore, worked there for 10 years, and then moved to UK. I've played a regional role in UK for 3 years, and then now I transitioned to Singapore again to take care of the major program in our bank. It's a small introduction about myself. Let's deep dive into what is our topic today. Usually, what matters for the customer journey is customer don't quit because the product being pricey or product is feature is not great, or there are a lot of other alternate options are available. So they feel like whether we wanted to go ahead with this a bank or with this company, they simply quit because of their experience. That is the primary reason for a client being retained and give them the long-standing royalty based on their onboarding experience. So it doesn't talk about, customer doesn't see our digital workflow or a checklist or a flow chart or what is the process we follow. Basically, customer feels the experience with us and then decide whether they want to continue the relationship with us or quit a relationship with us. So that is the primary reason why customer journey, most of the time when we design it, it gets failed because we mainly focus on the screens, flowcharts, and processes. How we wanted to achieve our compliance in the region, how efficiently we can document the information what we collect, and we fail to look at what kind of experience we give to the client. That is where the client onboarding journey most of the time fails in the industry. Feel free to pass me if you have any question in between. What we will cover today is a couple of them. Like one is the customer journey, and what is their a deciding moment whether to stay with us or leave us, and how we plan to build the trust on the customer. And once we build the trust, then how that impact the customer business, and finally the user experience, how what kind of a user experience we give to our customers. So these are the area what we will be looking at in today's call. First, let's look at the journeys, what customer is experience, or what we discussed earlier. It's not about what we have designed. So that is the primary aspect of how we should be looking at designing the client onboarding platform in a digital world. Most of the time when we start up the project, we look at the screens, how many stages, how many processes we need to complete. However, we fail to look at what kind of experience we give to the customer in each stages is very important. Maybe for our bank or our organization, we might be having multiple stages in the onboarding. However, for the customer, there is only three stages, which is first, before they come to us, they have some reason why they approach our organization to, let's say, opening a bank account, or borrowing some loan from us, or signing up with us to understand what we do in the business, right? So there is the journey is actually doesn't starts when we onboard the client into our digital platform. The journey starts much earlier when the customer think about us and trying to come to us with some purpose behind it. That is where the customer journey starts. And the next phase is the during phase, where our platform, our digital platform, and our processes will come into picture. However, it is unknown to the customer, any customer, and however, they are the one who will be providing the list of informations, and going through each and every phases and thinking whether I can trust this particular platform, or trust this organization, or trust this a bank with my personal identity, with my money. So there are a lot of confusions, and make it clarity, or even they may get quit the onboarding process during the second stage, where what kind of experience we give it to the client is what gets decided. That's the during stage. After is, it's not about once we complete the KYC process on the customer and our platform says that it is completed, it is actually not completed when it comes to a customer. For a customer, the process gets completed only when their primary objective, why they come to us during the before stage, that needs to be met, and that needs to be completed fully. Then only they felt that, oh, now I can do the transaction, or okay, I borrowed the money from the bank, or now I'm able to purchase this particular service. So that is when the final stage comes into the picture, when it comes to client journey. So it is not about when we complete our processes during in our digital platform. It is all about when we allow our customer to do the transaction, or whatever the objective, what they carried when they come to us in the beginning. That is when the completion comes into the picture. It's not about what we create internal to our organization or our platform. I want to give you some kind of life experiences. Everyone would have faced this, so it will be easy for us to connect and feel like what this onboarding is all about. Like when we have some idea to think about what we want to do with our business, there will be multiple choices we might get, to go to X company or Y company, or different banks. We will be having multiple choices to let's say opening an account with the bank. That's an example that will be easy for us to understand. When they wanted to open a bank account with us, the first thing what they will try and do is maybe some kind of app we created. When they will try and download that app and open the app, and start filling the information about their personal details, which is very confidential in nature, and try to complete the process what we have defined in the app. That's when the client feels like, whether I can trust with this particular processes, whether I'm doing the processes correctly, whether I'm making some mistakes which is not supposed to be made, because our application might be get rejected. Those kind of confusions will come into picture only these during the stage. Once we pass the during stage, where customer feels that I give everything what I'm supposed to give, and then the bank also completes all the processes what they are supposed to do, and then when they hand over the let's say credit card in this account, or the debit card comes to our home, that's when the simple onboarding process gets completed. It is not completed once we finish our list of processes within our digital platform. Hope this example can connect with you to understand how the client journey starts and when it gets ended. Usually when in the client journey, there are multiple areas where the customer feels different moments. When they come to us, they will come with some kind of a purpose, what they want to do with our what relationship they wanted to do with our organization. They will carry multiple feelings. It starts with fear, hope, and doubt, and urgency. Usually, they fear while giving their personal details, their money into our account. And while this process happens, customer, when we also provide other challenges about asking same questions or same data multiple times, or our application fails to capture their photo or identity based on certain specifications, all this will create fear in the customer mind. This moment is very important in the client journey, because that is when most of the customer decide to leave or stop using that particular app, not continue the process in the client journey. Next one is, once they cross that fear of the fear moments, then there will be a hope, where their emotions mostly thinking about the purpose of coming to this particular bank to open an account or borrow some money, whether I will get that what I wanted to achieve by opening this particular account. That hope will be extremely high in this space, where we will ask them to wait for a longer period because of our process, or we have to comply with the particular regulations, and we keep asking question to them whether we are not fully completing the process because of X data is missing, or the data what we have asked customer to enter in the form, whether it is entered incorrectly. So those interaction between the customer and the bank will create doubt among the customers, whether they want to continue this onboarding or decide to stop or quit the onboarding journey, and look for alternate ways. Most of the clients, they face doubts only when the onboarding journey is pretty long, and repetitive question being asked by multiple teams, and when they ask, it's not very clear whether they want particular information captured in a certain way, or they just want the same information again and again. So that doubt will always crack the customer mind and create the friction, and they will that decides whether they will stay or quit. The final moments is urgency. Every time when we deals with our customer journey, there is always urgency comes into picture, because every business deals or every transaction the customer wanted to make, it has some expiry date. We cannot go beyond that. So we need to clearly understand. Let's assume that we take a corporate onboarding a time frame. If you give 30 or 60 days to complete the onboarding, then that corporate will never do a transaction with us. They will definitely look for a different organization or different bank to do a transaction, because even onboarding takes 30 to 60 days. Then whatever their needs, like opening a firm account or borrowing the loan from us, corporate loan from us, those will also gets reflected from what we delivered in the client journey. It's a true reflection of how we meet their need, how much we need to understand the customer's urgency during this process, and understand what they want, and translate that into our a platform. In general, every time when we onboard a client, we usually set three priorities. One is what kind of client is it, what kind of a volume plan to transact with this particular entity, and what kind of value the client is bringing, and what is the risk appetite we have, what we can observe. All this comes into picture to decide which kind of urgency flag we should set for this particular client. However, that's internal to us, and that is what we usually plan the digital transformation. However, the client sees that if their urgency is not realized and translated into the client onboarding journey, then there is no option to be with the bank or the organization. They will quit. So these are the moments where customer feels the, the experience during our client journey. Just for pause for a minute. Do you have any questions? Okay, I'll go to the next one. Next one is the building the trust with the customer. This is very important when it comes to banking industry. because it is like a testing your credibility. So that is where the trust is very important. Usually a customer thinks, can I trust this organization with my identity and my money? So that is the question the most of the time they think about it. When that question is not clearly understood and not met their expectation, they simply quit. So that is the pattern we see. So creating a trust on the customer during our client journey is extremely important moments, and that will help us to retain the customer um, in a long journey. So that is where the trust is plays a lot of part in it. So how do we usually gain the trust during our designing phase where the client onboarding platform, right? This is when the customer gives a particular customer data and also credit some money with us. If anything goes wrong with the information provided to us, or if anything goes wrong with their transaction, we should give a confidence to the customer that if anything goes wrong, we will still be with you and will be able to support you and will be able to protect your money from any events which is happening. That kind of confidence we need to give it to the client in order to create the trust among us. So that is very important during our platform. So one technical way is like just to give a simple real-time example is when we start doing sanction screening or identifying the ultimate beneficial owner from a particular company, or identifying their nature of business, and recording those and going back to them, telling them that we have these many other products where that will help you to build your business in a different market or different business lines. Those advices during this process, what the relationship manager will try and give. So when typically the customer comes with us with a couple of products, they wanted to use it. But during this process, when a relationship manager explains our platform and explains our services and products, what we offer, we usually get more products being offered than what they anticipated in the beginning. So that is the reflection of the trust what we have gained during the client journey. So it is one of the main area. So we should embed in our client journey while designing the digital platform for client journey. I also want to touch upon some areas what the client journey fails dramatically in a typical world. So they fail quietly. They don't. Meaning it won't create a lot of noise, or we will not be able to realize whether it is failing dramatically, or we won't even able to get feedback or some kind of sign from the client. They simply quit. That's the response we get whenever our client onboarding journey is actually failing. So these are the three elements which is very important when we consider the client designing the client onboarding platform. One is we should be able to give them the clear and definite timeline of how long it will take to complete our onboarding journey. Customer usually doesn't worry about waiting for a long time. However, if they are not very clear whether it's going to take 1 hour or 10 minutes or 24 hours or 1 month, they definitely feel anxious, and then they don't want to continue the onboarding. So the clear message of clear prediction of how long it will take for me to get into this particular across this client onboarding journey is something is very important. Whether it will break or make, both are depends on this. The next phase is like confusing, meaning when we design our application, we should design in such a way that it flows, the data flows in a proper order. We cannot just make like first we are some documents where we have the name and the date of birth and etc. already available in the particular document. However, we ignore those information and we keep asking another a tab where we keep asking their date of birth to be re-entered and enter the passport ID again one more time. So these um, actions, what we experience, what we give it to the clients, will create confusion with the client. So we should never design an application where the first steps talks about something and second steps repeat the same information in a different shape or different format altogether. That will create confusion with the customer. The next aspect of the confusion is multiple teams or multiple channels are created and asked by our organization and sourcing information from the clients. So it is another very important failure what we have seen in the client onboarding journey, where multiple touch points with the customer asking same information by different teams. This will create big gaps between our internal teams, as well as the customer will feels that we are not coordinated and we are not reliable, or we don't know what we are actually trying to do as a team. So that will create a confusion with the customer whenever we repeat the same information and do a multiple client outreach and ask the same information again and again, and asking the information which is already available in the public domain. So these are the things we must consider while treat what kind of a confusion we are giving to the clients. It should be very crystal clear of list of document, list of data, list of things what we wanted from the client. We should have just one touch point where we collect all the information and go back to them with the outcome, not just with the another set of documents. The third feature is silent. This is the most killing point, where when our during process where our platform works and completes list of processes, there are multiple times client come to us and asking for the update, or we fail to give them the interim update or the frequent update where we are on the process, and keep them on the silent. So that's when the customer realize that they don't know whether they will be able to open an account or complete the onboarding process, and they will quit the entire process and leave us. So these are the three areas what we need to be catered when we try to design our client onboarding platform. We should have a clear journey expectation, and we should have a clear document and data what we want from the client, and one-time touch points, and we should have give them the clear information about during this process where we are right now and when we are planning to, and what is the timeline. We shouldn't be silent entirely in this process. Next moments is like another very important sign. User typically don't quit at the end, they quit at uncertainty, meaning to say whenever you have uncertainty in our process, that's when give them the sign that gives the sign to the a customer and then they will usually quit. So we should identify those signboard where in our onboarding processes, in which particular area where there is an uncertainty experience we are giving to the customer. That identification is very important to define whether the client onboarding is successful or it's a failure. So in our digital platform, we should have a signboard where you will identify the kind of a mechanism where you will identify whether we are giving uncertainty about our processes or application or any people who are dealing with them. If there are any uncertainty, that needs to be highlighted and and rectified. That is when most of the customers don't quit at the last step. They quit in the first moment when they feel uncertainty. Okay. Sorry. So next one is the internal success and customer success. There is quite a bit of difference between what we consider as success onboarding platform success versus what the customer feels as success. When KYC is approved, account is created, all the forms are completed and submitted. That's not when the what we think is internally success. That is not when the customer feels that it is success. Customers feels only when the account is actually opened and when they are able to meet what they wanted to do. For example, in this case, when they open an account and we send the debit card to their house, and once the debit card is activated, that's when the customer feels as success. Not when we complete our KYC process or a particular process within our application. This is the major difference of what typical banking industry, where we think that once the client onboarding completes, the customer, we think that the customer is very happy and confident, and we calculate our timeline, like how we took 3 days to complete the entire process, which is much better than the industry standards, and we rate based on that. However, the customer feels confident only when the actual account is core banking account is open and they started doing the transaction. That's when the customer feels that it is fully completed. Next part, what we wanted to look at is we want to talk about the customer journey. We often imagine every step is equally important, but that is not how the customer journey. Most of the time, customer move based on the actual autopilot mode, because once we have, until something makes them pause and realize, they think that the customer journey started from the moment they filled the form and whatever the information is given. However, in our world, we might be having a different path to complete one onboarding journey, and we might be taking a different path to complete the different onboarding journey based on the risk appetite and the volume and value of the particular customer. However, the moments where the customer decides whether to stay or leave is which experience we give it to the customer, because that matters a lot. Because when we have a clear process defined, clear documentation defined, and regular updates were given, clear timelines were given, I think the customer feels that it is going in the right way. However, when we have certain uncertainty and we are not following a certain process, what we said that we will do, and that's when they think that okay, whether I'm going in the right direction or I'm taking a wrong direction, whether I should stay or leave. these confusions will comes into picture when they think that whether this is the right or wrong way. So whenever we decide the onboarding platform, common banking movements that matters. What I've observed over here is very simple and practical experience. What we should be thinking about is, like for example, the sign up page where we asked the customer to fill up their personal informations and enter their identity and etc. That is the one best moment where you must need to be, meaning that screen or what that process need to be extremely careful. And whatever the verification we ask the customer to do it, that is the another area where the process is, the experience gets translated to the next level. And the approval processes, like the time we take to approve a particular onboarding or a particular transaction, that is also another moments what customers felt whether they wanted to continue the relationship or quitting it. So these five moments is actually matters, very important moments. Rest of them are just a process checklist and just part of the client journey. However, if you make these five moments very clear and we give them the best experience during the stage. Sometimes what I've observed more in the banking industry is like we do almost at least three of them. However, we fail to do all five. So the customer feels that they're not really happy with the entire onboarding journey. So we should, as a client onboarding journey designer, we should ensure that these five moments are taken care completely. Then the customer, whatever the process we follow, whatever the time we give it to the customer, that's all will be taken care. So that is the practical experience I wanted to give it to you guys as a listeners. What you need to cater when we think about the journey, and what kind of moments we should make a note of it and give them the best experience so that they will stay with us instead of leaving us. Yeah. This is another way what I wanted to touch during our client onboarding journey, where trust is also kind of a signal we get it in the journey. When teams talk about building trust, they often think about big things, right? Like a brand campaign or a security certification, or the interfaces what we build with the multiple platforms and make their make the customer journey simpler. These things, we think that it will create a big trust among the customer. But those matters, of course, whenever we have interface with our government apps where we collect information quickly and then populate in the auto populate in the account opening form, it is definitely one of the best features way to have it. This will definitely give them the best experience, what they can experience, what they can feel it in the onboarding platform. But what actually looks for the customer, what actually customer looks for is, customer looks for a small signals, like a small areas where you are on the, we should give them the option like you are on the right track. This is a normal process, nothing is going wrong. So those kind of a small instructions we need to give it to them during our client journey. That should be very clear instructions, simple and in a human understandable language, where they will understand and progress in the journey. That will create a trust in our processes. Even when error happens in the process, like when the sometimes the client face some kind of error in the platform based on some causes, maybe the internet failure or some kind of a failure. If you give them the clear guidance of what we should be doing it in the next step, that will give them the clear confidence about what is the next step and why am I doing it, what kind of regulations or compliance or the risk we are trying to assess and which is unavoidable. So those information, when we give it to them and when they read it and understand those during the process, they feel that whatever we are trying to do in our platform is actually trustable, and they create that will create the our image in a customer journey much better than instead of just asking for a clear asking for only set of document and data. That's the that kind of a clear, small signals we need to build in the platform while designing the client onboarding platform. Any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat window. I will try and answer in the end of the session. We still have 6 more slides to go. We have, I think we have 16 minutes left. I'll try and complete as quick as possible. So another aspect of the enemy, we discussed this earlier. Whenever there is a silence, that will create friction. They will feel very unhappy about what kind of update we give it to them. If there is one thing that destroys the trust faster than anything else, is the silence. Okay, silence doesn't feel neutral to customer. It feels something went wrong. That's the feeling they get it. Okay, so while silence appears, right, silence shows up that in very common places. For example, if you upload some document and then we asked for some document, they've uploaded the document and we received it, and we find it that it is acceptable and we want to proceed, and if you don't give them the some kind of update to them saying that, yeah, I received the document and it is clear and meeting the purpose, the customer doesn't feel that whatever the uploaded document is accepted by us and the process is already started. That information won't be known to the customer and they will lose the trust. So we should embed regular update, or even the small regular update we should build in the application, which will create trust in our processes. And if you fail to do that, and if you don't give any updates at all in our journey, that means that there won't be no trust can be gained in our processes. So that is one of the main bottleneck, or our main reason why the client onboarding platform fails most of the time, where we don't give them the enough update during the journey. In reality, when teams realize that onboarding has issue, first reaction is usually we need a big redesign. That is the thought most of the time comes whenever we feels that the entire journey what we have designed is failing, or some issues with that, right? However, in reality, big fixes are really rare. If you look at, I've designed the client onboarding journey multiple times, and whenever we look at redesigning the target operating model and launch a new platform altogether, if you look at it, it is all about making a very small and tiny changes in our operating model, which will or introduce a particular digital version of a particular form, which is it's just small in nature, which will gain huge benefit case most of the time. So whenever we design the client onboarding portal, we need to look at what list of small changes we can bring in, which can enhance the client experience much better than completely thinking of redesigning our platform. Given when we try to do that, most of the time the regulators or the process what we generally follow in the financial institutions or any organization mostly common and same. So the difference what we can bring in the client onboarding journey is identifying those small changes which can really translate the journey into a very good user experience. That is what we need to focus whenever we redesign our client onboarding portal. Okay. There is, if you take only one thing away from today, let it be a simple checklist. So that is what I wanted to give it to you guys. First is like explain what is happening, not in the legal language or the how the processes works. It is very simple terms. You need to explain how the onboarding journey works, and then they give them the reassurance that whatever the steps they follow in the process is um, um, you know um, right or wrong. That kind of assurance we need to give it to them in the process. And then finally, you need to guide the user throughout the journey, and create guidance steps along the journey, and embed that into the process or the forms or screens, which will help them to. It is not a major technical improvements we need to make in the application, which is simple guidance or the steps what they have to do it. So that if we embed that in the platform, I think that will simply give them the option to stay with us instead of getting full confusions and thinking about quitting the onboarding journey in the process. Okay. We I think we almost come to a final stage. What changes? I feel like it's the client onboarding. If all frameworks, slides, and examples feel like a lot, let me simplify everything into one simple question. What is the customer feeling right now? So that is the um, area what you need to think whenever you decide each steps and the process and the journey. So that is when that will drive the design principle of what we need to do, or what steps we should follow, what steps we should be reducing it. So those will come into picture only when we think that in a customer angle, what customer is feeling in each stage, and then predict the expectation and design the application. That is what I feel like you need to take it from this sessions. Okay. So I think just want to recap what we have done is like the customer journey and the moments, the list of moments, what we must be worried about it, and understand and take care of during our client onboarding journey, and how we can build the trust among the in our processes on the platform, and what kind of a clarity we should give it to the customer during our journey. And end of the time, like what confidence, what is the outcome of the entire processes comes with the confidence. That confidence we should give it to them. So these are the areas what we have covered today. I hope the session went well. um, so just wanted to close this with my thoughts. Like a good onboarding doesn't feel like a process. It should be like a they should feel like it's very easy, clear, and I know what to do, and they know. Meaning the client should know what to do, and they should be able to do it quickly without anyone's help or support. So that is when the onboarding platform or the journey completes and goes for the success. Okay, I think we come to a conclusion. If there are any questions in the chat window, I'm ready to answer.
Please feel free to post your questions on the chat or raise your hand and open the mic. Uh, I would like to thank very much Anandhan for this presentation. I kept as keywords, let's say, for sure, trust and clarity. I think that this applies to all the digital products, services, whatever we do, and we want to build a relationship with our community, our clients, etc. Kept also the quote that most impact comes from small changes, which is true, and we need to keep it always in mind. And the, let's say, mantra, explain, reassure, guide. Gavin posted that thank you for the presentation, very insightful for client-facing work. As I mentioned, I totally believe that this applies to everything we want to launch or for communities or for communication because everything that we want to communicate with people online or in person needs this strategic mindset and this strategic process. Let me know. I will wait a little bit more for questions if there are any before we close and we finish this session. No questions. This means, Anandhan, that you explained everything very well. We will follow up. I will send you the recording of the webinar in order to, if you want to check again, whenever you launch or you design something new, in order to go through again the process. I would like to thank Anandhan for the presentation and for very useful insights. We will keep you posted for next webinars and online meetups that we will do. This year will be again very busy for DCN, and we will keep you posted on WhatsApp groups, through newsletter, and of course on our social media channels. If there is, now it's the last moment for questions, and I will pass the floor to Anandhan for the closing.
Thank you. Thanks for DCN to inviting and again for this session. I hope I give a clear understanding of what list of moments and things we need to cater while designing client onboarding end-to-end journey. I'm happy to participate in this and hope to continue to share the knowledge among our listeners and keep involving in the future events as well. Thank you.
Of
Thanks.
course, you are always welcome. You are now part of DCN community, so we will be more than happy to have you in next online or in-person activities. I would like to thank you all to have a very nice day or night, depending on, or morning, depending on where you are based in. And we will continue with updates on newsletters, social media, etc. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.